Yo, what's up? What is good? Here's the cycle. We were here yesterday, guys. If you were on the live stream, if you've been following on Twitter, you should be getting the updates. I did talk about the 62-day cycle and how there's a point of interest today in the morning. So I called for around the 950 area. 930 would have been the low point of that. We did get 970, and then we got that rally, okay? So again, this is taken from the points of interest that we track here in the cycle, and clearly this is one of them, okay? Followed it to a T. It's been following this entire pattern, okay, for a couple of months now, and we got this guy right here. So you should have made a fuck ton of money if you were tracking this, especially on options, guys. Options went up like 3,000%. Huge opportunity right here for that, okay? So I am expecting, you know, depending on the setup, we did come right up on top here. I called for around 12. We did clock over, so we're at the 12 range here for average on the candles. We did clock over to 360, but I am expecting some sideways pressure for a little bit, and then we'll see what happens on this tail end. Remember, this is noise, so it can really go either direction. Either things turn around and we start heading back up, or the cycle repeats itself and we take another breather down, right? We'll be tracking it today, though. We will be tracking it. All right, nice. Welcome back, guys. We are early today. I'll be chilling it out here and looking at the charts, man, because I'm trying to figure this shit out. We'll see what happens here. We are making a little projector as we speak. So this is a little projector pattern here intraday. Right off the bat, you guys can tell that we are following. It's a sort of speed line here, but projectors will typically follow the support trend line and bounce off quickly if they do so, right? So if we continue to come back up, we should be getting another little rally potentially. If we don't, we are going to get probably going to get a flag structure. And the flag structure would maybe look like this. Okay. And then right after this flag structure, we would see if, we get another projector pattern right outside this area. So if it does something like that, we would have to get a projector right here to see if the price action will continue to go up or if we're going to go down from there. Okay, but things are looking pretty good right now. For sure. No, for sure, man. You guys are welcome. I hope you're making money. And yesterday I had said clearly I am not, I don't go in and exit, positions here on AMC like shares or anything like that. This is specifically to do with options. Okay, so options yesterday, I had talked about how there were positions that I was in because I was looking for upside today after that dip. So both times I did go in on positions down early, and part of those positions I was cutting. Calls specifically. I was cutting around this range right here. Okay, just because I knew that I was looking for a specific level, right? I said, if we do get this run based off of this ratio, okay, I'm looking at around the $12 level. Even though we did clock and we saw the momentum keep going, you see the options premiums go and the volatility go up very quickly. So the price of that contract is pricey, right? So you need to understand that when there is a drop, typically all of that goes away very quickly. And that's something to note here with these runs, guys. So you got to average down if you are doing options. Not financial advice, but they are trickier for sure. Okay, so guys, you gotta understand something, okay? Like when I give these price targets, in the short term, it's based off of what's happened in the past with AMC. Even though there's a massive rally that we just had, you have to understand that there's going to be breathers in between, and that's okay. That's normal. This doesn't automatically mean that the rally is done and we're going to start to come back down based off of the cycle, right? This just means, okay, that the current setup, okay, we got the point of interest. It does suggest, okay, that we follow through and we come back down a little bit. But again, this is noise in the cycle. If we've seen the previous cycles, guys, okay, they don't all follow this segment. Some of them are earlier, right? This one happened earlier. We talked about this yesterday. It went up and then it started to come back down again, right? Potentially that's something that could happen. We to keep in mind, right? Same thing back here. This one played out inverse though. So you guys can see this pattern is inverse right here. And if we look at it inverse, okay, this one, you see a potential rally, but then it continues to go up, right? So it could go both ways. It doesn't have to follow this cycle exactly to a T. It doesn't just have to go down. There's room for it to keep going up if all lines up, okay? Right now we're getting a bit of a push up. Okay, so I am going to be looking at these fib levels for points of resistance. So for example, right here, there would be a point of resistance for this flag. So if we hit this, you know, we might clock it over a little bit and then come back down to set up for a macro flag. Or we can start to push back up and create this double top, cup and handle, potentially keep pushing up a little bit more for the next rally. That is another option. But again, I'm just based off of the current setup, the current technical setup, it's hard to sort of say that AMC could just rally here straight up, you know, to crazy levels, right? Not that it's impossible, but the current setup doesn't suggest that, right? Because we don't have a projector. This is our first push up. Again, not impossible, but the likelihood of that, again, taken with the current cycle setup, also is less than not. Not that it's not something that can't happen, but the likelihood is less, obviously. We are tracking a cycle, guys, all right? And typically the cycle does a really good job tracking, okay? This pattern you've been tracking here is, I mean, look at that, okay? So if we just track this, we be patient, we can set up for the next rally, okay? These are the points of interest that I'm talking about. I did say yesterday I was going to post the updates on the website for the other stocks that are tracking. I am still working on that. I haven't been completely done with it. It is taking a little bit of time to do so, but I will post that soon, so stay updated. Whenever I do finish that, I will let you guys know on Twitter and on Discord, so make sure you guys drop a little follow on there so you can stay updated. But it will have all of these cycles and their points of interest tracking, okay? Yeah, I saw that tweet too, the Citadel tweet. It's part of the show, guys. It's part of the show. This isn't. It's not an accident that they tweeted that. They're doing it's on purpose. It's part of the show, and they are playing a psychology game when they do that. I do believe that. It's all psychological. They're trying to scare people, basically. Like, that tweet is unexpected. And potentially that could be that could have been a catalyst they were looking for to trick people into buying options here and then shorting the price again. That's why, again, you have the point of interest. It happens very quickly. See how this took 10 minutes. This candle took 10 minutes. All right. People might buy up here or something, and then they're going to if they short the price back down, that's just a reason to make people very upset, especially after a tweet like that. So take that very, consider that tweet and sort of brush it aside for a minute. Don't pay too much attention to that, because that potentially, is a catalyst here for this event that we have going on that clearly has to do with the cycle. I can't. Guys, there's no denying here that the cycle is playing out. There's been many instances where we have tracked these points of interest, and there's too many that are pretty identical here to play out. So somebody has this cycle in place, and it is it's playing out. We have figured out this algorithm. And these guys, I mean, dude, they're not going to get away with it for much longer, okay? This is a good step forward to understanding the next cycle's point of interest, okay? Yeah, they just said, yo, thank you for Like we enjoyed Doctor Strange, something like that. It was like, thank you AMC theaters. Our teams in New York and Chicago had a great time watching the new Doctor Strange movie on big screen last week. So yeah, I mean that's gonna cause some sort of FUD, in the community for sure. It's working, but again, just don't pay too much attention. They're just trolling. Okay. Yeah, I'm at it a little bit early today. We'll be here for a bit, man. Things are just kind of starting up. Also, here's the update on the market cycle. The market is looking, or at least I'm looking for it to have a reversal in the short term. We have been tracking this pattern here of 2008 or 2009 for quite a bit now, guys. It's been almost 2 years since we've been tracking this guy, and dude, look at this. Shit is like playing out to a T. It's crazy how identical these guys are. And following this, we do have a reversal here. If we continue to track this identical, we should have a market melt up here in the short term. If not, then the timing would just be, it would be insane that that I was able to come up with this pattern here right on that time frame where things play out inverse. That would just be really weird to me. Again, I just posted this yesterday, so it's very early on here, but if we do start to track inverse and this thing starts to come back down and this pattern is not tracking anymore, and again, this would be weird because this has been tracking for almost 2 years, guys. November 2020 to April of 2022. Well, May of currently. So about a year and a half. And we do have, again, this pattern indicating upside here if we continue to track it identical. So it would look something like this, And that would just be awesome. If we do rally back up in the markets, that would be very bullish for everything. Everything would just start to squeeze, go up very quickly. This would be probably the best opportunity in the markets that we will ever have, because the first melt up there's a lot of volatility involved. Once you start just climbing back up and following this macro trend line, the volatility kind of dies off for a bit. So even if you come back on this range, okay, and you're just, you're chilling right here, there's not much going on, right? You're just riding the waves until you get a major market crash or correction. Again, this is where the money's at, okay? Not here, it's right here. So again, I'm paying attention to this. I want some levels to cross first. The first level that I'm looking to cross with confirmation is going to be this V setup here, which would be around the 430 range. Once we get confirmation of that, and we're right here in this range, this next push up is going to be the ugly one to the upside, right? Which is a good thing. So we'll see, guys. We will see. Here's AMC. Again, here's the first level that we're looking for, the touch. And if it does, we might get a little bit of a pullback to bounce back on this support trend line here. Also, guys, all the cycles that I was tracking just so happen to be up right now as well. We talked about there's going to be a lot on that section on the website, the cycle tracker that I'm making. So far, I have 7 cycles that I'm tracking. I will be adding at some point quite a bit. There's going to be like 15. And you're going to be able to click on each one. It'll give you the scenario and possibly give you an alternate scenario as well if the point of interest plays out inverse. So that way you have you can kind of look at the bullish and the bearish side. All it's doing, okay, when I'm pulling up these points of interest, for example, this is one of them, right? That point of interest, or what I'm calling it really a zone of interest, because it's a time frame of, varies on the stock, on the cycle. It's going to give you typically about 3 to 5 days where some volatility will occur. Okay, and that is could be upside, could be downside, right? You have to remember that with cycles, you either get it playing out identical or inverse, and that's the beauty of it, is that you can kind of work with that to understand, like, well, with the current setup, what is more likely to happen, right? Here we know that on AMC, they had been shorting this for so long that at some point we would get that relief rally, right? And that lines up with this point of interest, and we got it, right? This is one that played out perfectly, and that's great. Same with the other cycles. There's gonna be some that can have a wonk, not the best looking setup, and with that, when you hit that point of interest, it just completely falls, right? Doesn't go your way, favor. But again, there's good ways to track that and still be able to make money on plays like that. So it's kind of what we're going to be looking for here. The SPY is looking strong right now. We are getting a good bounce. Let's see. Yep. Looking great. Could this be the bottom? Could this be the bottom? I guess we'll see. All right. We did hit that point, that fib level. And it looks like right now we just got rejected to come back and take a breather here. We'll see if things do not push back up here. We will come back down to probably this area real quick. Yeah, we'll rally it up here in a bit, Boba Fett, for sure. Here, let's see what we are looking at here for this current setup. I think they're gonna try and keep the price by Friday. I mean, here it looks like by the 13th, it potentially could come down a little bit if it does start to track this to a T. What you would get here is you would get something like this, right? It might come back up here towards the end of the day to like the 1250, and then sort of trade sideways into market open. It might come back up to 13, and then they might short it to like, I don't know, maybe 12 or 11 something by the end of the day. This is a realistic scenario, guys, just because of the way we're tracking the cycle right now. Is the dark pool is working like overtime, bro, with this. I mean, yeah, dude, shit is tracking like stupid identical, and it's better to kind of take your chances here and understand that, well, if things continue to track, they might if things are currently tracking the way they are, they might continue to track. Okay, even if it does call for downside, guys, this is not something to be worried about or anything. You got a cycle that we're tracking, and you can set up for the next run. Okay, that's how we do it here. All right. Mikey, end of this month. So end of this month is there's no point of interest, man, for the end of the month. This right here is tracking the 62-day cycle. We have been tracking the 62-day cycle here for a good bit. Ever since we got to the red portion of the cycle, we started tracking identical. So we are currently doing this based on the current setup. What I would see happening, okay, is, let's pull it back up. Now that we got this little run here, potentially what we could see is, a little bit of sideways pressure here. So realistically speaking, guys, if we do end the week at like 1150 or even 12, all right, what's going to happen is, following the next cycle, because we're about to go into another cycle here in the short term, we will potentially start to see more upside, and we're gonna trade in this range here for a little while. Okay, we might go up around June. I had said this late June, not early June, with GameStop. GameStop has a point of interest along with Mullen on June 17th going into the 21st. So I had said this, when you have a rally, it will typically be followed like on these lower levels, guys, because we've seen it happen multiple times down here. Okay, you have a rally and then it comes back down, rally and then it comes back down. Okay, here we have a rally. Potentially it could keep going up, but at some point I do believe that it's going to get a breather and it's going to come back down. Whether that's tomorrow, next week, whenever. What I do see is a range. So I'm going to draw a little box here, and I'm going to tell you why I am looking at this range. We're going to draw a parallel zone, if I can find it. Okay, and bear with me. Here we go. Here's the magnetic parallel channel. And what did we say, right? We said that when we get out of these zones, we typically stay in that range for a little while. Okay, and this is looking at what happened back here. So here we got out of that channel. These are 120 days in length. Okay, each one is 120 days about. And this is the same theory we used to come up with the March 28th scenario, okay? You guys remember that? This is where we got the price target of 28. It went to 34, clocked in, and came back down to 30. Okay. Now, the reason I think, based off of the cycle, that the next point of interest would not be until, and I'm talking about a major point of interest. Remember, major points of interest don't necessarily mean squeeze. It just means that there's a rally, a potential rally that will happen. And that is right in between the zone. Okay. Now, a squeeze scenario here would be that we either come up with the projector at some point in this range in between, which would be when the June cycle happens for GameStop, which GameStop is expected to rally around the 21st of June. So if, let's say, they both go up at the same time, but one goes up higher percentage-wise, okay? So let's say that we're in this range, right? And we go up like that or whatever. And then come June 22nd, we rally up here. And we set up and we slowly start to make this support trend line here that is rising, right? That's bullish because now, after this downtrend, you have, things have completely shifted to the upside. Now you're on a bullish trend, which is good because you start to build up that pressure. Volume starts to flow in. You set up, you have your projector, and then you go, right? That is scenario one. Scenario two would be that we still get, we get a mid phase here on this point of interest. We come back down. We still are trading in the zone, okay? But then we make another macro projector pattern. You guys are starting to see that, right? Now you are building extreme pressure here. What happens? What does it start to look like? It starts to look like GameStop setup before it ran up, okay? If I go to GameStop setup, it's on the 2 hour. And this is exactly what I think we are going to experience here in the short term, okay? This is the most likely scenario for AMC. Just after being shorted for so long, you have a scenario that could look like this, right? You start off slow. Okay, look at that. You start off slow. You build pressure. You have a trend line that is not being broken to the downside. This is dangerous for the shorts. Remember, this is exactly how the GameStop squeeze happened, okay? And even though it wasn't considered a squeeze, this pressure, I guess we'll just call it a run-up, that happened because the shorts could not keep the price down. This is a potential setup here for AMC on the next run. And when would that point of interest happen? If things do not happen by July, okay, by late July, August, and that just becomes a projector pattern here. This is just a series, guys, of projector patterns, okay? It's one after another. They're little mountains, just respecting support trend lines. There's so many projectors until you get to the final projector that takes you up. So if we do this, we'll set up here towards the end of August to start the squeeze potentially by the end of August, right? Which would be early September. They bring us up early September. We squeeze. And then they bring us back down because that is these little markers here that we have, these mid phases. Those are considered points of interest that are 120 days apart. Okay, so you see one right here, right here. This is a mid phase right here. And typically in between, you will see run-ups as well. For example, right here, that's in between. This is like in between right here as well. Now this one, again, when you play out the projector and it plays out inverse, you get the complete opposite effect, right? Even though it's a point of interest, you got shorted down instead of going up. So it still counts, but that's why I keep saying, be careful with these points of interest because sometimes they do play out to the downside, right? So this is going to be the potential scenario here for AMC is just how the current setup looks. It's more likely than not that we will follow a similar pattern structure, okay? Something like that. Build up pressure and then go. All right, where is... See how we're doing here on this flag structure that I just made. What happened to it? Okay, I don't know what happened to it. Okay, let's see. Maybe it's on this one. Oh yeah, it is. Look at that, guys. We are respecting the flag that I made back here. Okay, so we did bounce off of this level. We came back down. Now we're bouncing off here. With these flags, and this is why we have to be careful here, you know, even though it looks bullish, you have to be prepared for the possibility of downside here, okay? Just because we are so used to them playing out these bullish technicals that don't play, you know, the way we want to. So just be careful here. Even if we do break down, I do still see, by the end of the day, I do still see us at this range of potentially 1250 if we do cross below. If we don't, and we cross up, and let's say that this thing does start to go back up, then I do see a new range and level. I would want us to cross 14 first, and then after 14, we would be looking at, let's see. Yeah, so 14 is a major level because of this is a major resistance right here. The next one would not be until 16. So 14 and 16. 16 would potentially kick things off. That would be dangerous to hit that level. Okay. All right. Take these fib levels away. And if we fucking go, we rally, baby. You know what it's all about. Oh, yeah, let's see how that point of interest is looking at here on the macro regression trend. That's going to be interesting. Let's see if the magnet worked. No, not that. Oof. Look at that. This is the macro regression trend. Here's... Okay, you guys know how these work, right? These are magnets. Again, you have your range, so it's about a week where there's the magnets. All they do is they pull the price up or down. Doesn't necessarily have to come back and touch this range. This is just a regression trend that is added so that you can kind of see how things are working around this range, right? Like, for example, here we cross the regression, we go all the way up to the macro regression trend. You know, vice versa. And same back here, right? You clock it, you come back down, touch, bounce. Same thing, right? Here, it seems like it more than anything stayed right in between both the macro regression trend, the midline, and the smaller regression trend here. So you still got the magnet pulling it up. It's still a point of interest. This also lines up with the 62-day cycle. So, yeah, this also worked as well. For example, back here, most of these are like play out. Most of these play out. It's another thing that I use here to track the cycle. And they typically play out flipped, mirrored level. For example, right here. And then back here you have another sequence that is playing out a little bit differently. But yes, it did track. It did track. Okay, let's see. Look at that. Look at how narrow this flag is getting. Yeah, what a coincidence, guys, that, you know, 3 days ago, Luna just fucking crashed the ground, and there's a theory out there that BlackRock and Citadel had to do with that, so what a coincidence, right? Fucking bring the price action up, let's suppress it, because we have so much fucking money. Bro, the entire... If you guys haven't watched that video I posted yesterday on... the founder of Cardano, he's on our side, my guy. That guy is cool as hell. He talks about this shit. He basically understands also that crypto is a way that they're leveraging their positions, is how they manipulate these stocks. You know, and with manipulation, you have an algorithm behind it, okay? That's why we're able to track these cycles. Man, we are getting so fucking narrow on this. That is insane. Sure, you want an electric feel? I got you, baby. I love fucking MGMT. Alright, guys, just prepare for a little bit of downside. Again, not the biggest deal, but just... okay, I'm going to tell it how it is here and how I'm looking at the cycle. And I do see us just taking a small breather here for a little bit. You know, just because that's what the cycle is calling for. Again, if we get a good clock here, even if we come back out of the channel and this thing starts to go... great, then we look at the next target, but just have be prepared for something right here if you are, like, you know, holding options or anything like that. That is mostly what I kind of talk about here. It's not really relating to shares or anything, but being careful with options is a big deal because a lot of people do play them, okay, and there is a high risk involved with that. Especially with the expiration dates, the theta fighting the option contract value, as well as the volatility involved. And automatically, okay, when this thing starts to come back down and people are selling, the volatility will go down very quickly, okay, on the call side. Okay, in the meantime, let's see how the other cycles here are doing. And I will go over a couple of points of interest that I'm tracking for the other cycles for you guys, okay? So these are cycles that are tracking against AMC, against GameStop, so that you understand this is a way to confirm, okay, that, well, we know that there's manipulation happening, but it just sort of adds to it, you know, knowing that there are other cycles that are tracking against AMC, like BBIG, Mullen, Atarian, okay? All these guys have their own cycle. And if you're able to make money on that to leverage your position on the big boys, okay, the mother of all squeezes, then so be it, right? That is something I did say I was going to bring into the table here and talk about, because it's an opportunity, guys. If there is other cycles, I actually want to know from the chat, if you don't mind just posting on the chat, if that is something that you are comfortable with as well. You know, I'm gonna do it either way, but I'm curious to see if the chat is comfortable with that, because I do believe that there comes a point where people have to be, you know, responsible also in the market, and not just you know, in the past it was always, you know, like, stick to one play and do this. But if there's a cycle, guys, if there's a cycle that cannot be changed, okay, listen to me, there is a cycle that cannot be changed until you get to what? The projector pattern. All right? Once you get to the projector pattern, that is where they open the gates. Remember that. They open the gates here, things start leaking out, and that is where you make a difference in what is happening on the stock. But if you are not there, the algorithm is going to say fuck you, like we did right after the projector failed, which we were down here. Let's say that projector was right here, and it, you know, they shorted us all the way back down, right? You can't do shit. It doesn't fucking matter how much you try. You're not going to affect the price action until they open up the gates. All right? This is why I believe that it would be ignorant to just ignore the entire market as if there's nothing else happening and there's no other opportunities for your sake and mine. It's just, and I don't to be honest with you, I don't quite understand that concept. I agree that before there was a cycle, before there was, you know, things that we didn't know as much about AMC, I would have said, okay, yeah, it's good to just stay on this and not really be focused on anything else, because it distracts things from happening around, right? But we know that there's a cycle that cannot be changed, and they're gonna keep doing this, guys, until they can't anymore. And until we start to see pressure to the upside, there is nothing that we can do until they open the gates. Okay, so I just want to know in the chat if you guys understand that, so that we, you know, don't have any like confusion here, like people getting upset if I'm talking about something else. All right. All right, cool. Everybody's on a similar page here. Okay. We are making, by the way, if you're not aware of this pattern, it is the arc pattern, the infamous arc pattern of AMC. Okay. So potentially we could see something like this play out for a bit. If not, if things start to play out identical, or not identical to the upside, then we will see a push, a drastic push up. If things bounce back quickly, we should see a drastic push up. So consider that. I'm going to pull it up real quick just to track it, and then we will talk about some other cycles that we're tracking as well. Okay. Possibly something like that so far. I would say that instead of coming all the way down here, it is a possibility, but I would probably see us in between this range, so probably 11. Okay, and however, this is a point of interest would be right around here on the cycle, so if we do shift around this point and we start going up, this is no longer in play, and you will see a drastic push up if things start to play out inverse. So keep an eye out for that. Right around here, around the 11 mark, we are going to see either a push up or a push down, okay? I'm going to draw that box here that we always keep for that time frame. Should be right around this range. All right? Okay. Okay, so I had said prior to this that I was not looking to get in on a position on BBIG because the current setup that we were tracking on BBIG does suggest it going down for a little while, okay? Here is the thing that fucking always gets moved around. We had it like this, okay? And again, we hit those levels right here, and then it took a breather, all right? And now we're setting up right here to potentially have a small relief rally with the rest of the market, okay? But based off of this pattern, this is the macro projector, right? Or the macro projector, the macro pattern that we were tracking. Okay, moving again from trading view. Here we go. And it does call for downside, okay? This is like the other meme crypto stocks that got shorted to the ground. This is why I said be careful with this play, because we have seen this happen before with SOS. Okay, we have seen this happen with CAN. If you guys know CAN, we've seen it happen with support.com, which is now Green Holdings, which is another tracker that I am doing. That one is potentially going to be a good one to track because it has been shorted to the ground, and I think at some point we will see a massive relief bounce on that. There's a lot, guys, and this calls for potentially the dollar level by July time. Okay, so until things start to turn for me and they don't track anymore, you should continue to see a little bit of downside here. There might be some relief in between, but I don't see anything major here with BBIG just yet. Okay. I had said as well with Mullen. Mullen is also one that we will see go up in about a month. It has a point of interest around that June time, June 17th, and it's similar to GameStop's point of interest. So this might be one that does go up from the 80 cent level and turn back very quickly to come back up again. This is not only a company that got shorted to the ground from higher levels, okay, but it's got a massive amount of volume, okay, and shorts on this play. So I do see a rally on Mullen in about a month. Okay, following AMC. Yeah, we're doing good. And these are all patterns, guys, that I find on different stocks, sometimes within their own patterns too in the same chart. Now I use these because I also use what is this cycle tracker. Okay, and the cycle tracker, what it does is it uses the Fourier transform to analyze the entire sequence, and it basically dissects what's going on through these sine waves, and it filters them. So if there's, you know, another sine wave that's happening, it'll combine them, and then it'll filter them out using a high pass filter and a low pass filter to give you ranges depending on the cycle period that you're choosing, and basically tell you how likely it is that you are going to be tracking that point of interest, right? And I don't only use that. I use their cycles tracking against the other cycles. I use patterns. I use technical analysis. I use data, short data. There's a lot that goes into it. I don't specifically talk about, you know, everything going out with these cycles yet, because we're kind of just starting this range, but I should have some details on that website when I do post the tracker. I should have a little bit of detail in how many days they're trading apart. They're going to be in different sectors, so this is how it's going to look on the website, so you guys are familiar with, you guys get a little familiar with this here. So there's going to be like little boxes, and in those boxes you're going to have, say, in one sector, right, this is going to be like the first sector, let's say right there. Okay, let's do it easy. One sector, two sectors, and then three sectors, right? And what it will track is, on the first sector, you might have, you know, GameStop and AMC, right? And there's going to be other ones. This is just an example. On the second sector, you might have, I don't know, Mullen. Can't even see this. Yeah, you'll have like Mullen on one. You'll have AMC right here. You'll have GME. Okay. GameStop, AMC, Mullen, and I don't know, Ader. Okay. And then you might have over here Virgin Galactic. You get the point. They're all going to be in their own meme stock sector. Okay. I call it a sector because these plays are not typically something we track with fundamentals, where fundamentals do very little until that one catalyst plays out, right? That 1 out of 10, and you know the rest don't really do much to the stock. It's just how I believe things work. I don't think fundamentals and catalysts really do anything to meme stocks. So they're going to be in their individual meme stock sector, meaning that their cycles track very closely to each other and how these trade against one another, okay? It's basically what's going to happen. It's how they trade against one another. And you're going to see that. There's going to be details on that, a little description on how many days apart they're tracking from, you know, the blue section and the red section and the yellow section, you know, etc. So, okay, here's the cycle. Again, we are actually tracking it here. We are coming back down. It looks like potentially we are right here, okay? Right. This was overdue, man. This was over fucking due. Also, guys, if you haven't already, make sure you join the Discord. You get all the updates on there, and you're going to get them as well on the For You page. There will be a section where I do post the cycles that I'm tracking, and you'll get updates on that every day, how they're tracking. I'm going to set up a system that will naturally just update it so that you get a little bot there asking for it. So it is on the link below if you guys want to join that. Trading Whitney, the Citadel tweet is just a distraction. I think it's trolling. A potential catalyst for the price to go up to make you second guess yourself after the shorting is done. It's shitty, but they're playing this game, guys. They're playing this really nasty game right now. All right. For a short period, Max, it could go two ways, dude. So based off the current setup on Amy, okay. Yo, what the fuck? Here's the cycle. And we do have it. I mean, it's tracking identical right now. You see it go up, and then it trades sideways. It comes back at some point to potentially come up to this 13 range, maybe 1275 by the end of the day. Okay, so maybe like that. Comes back to 1275, and then tomorrow in the morning, you might even come back and clock one more time to 1275 before they take us back down to around that 11 range. I do see it just trading sideways. Either sideways, either we get a run in the short term, which is probably a little bit unlikely. But the most likely scenario is going to be sideways pressure. Okay? Here's the arc pattern again. Tracking identical. There. No, that's not. I don't think that's true, man. No, that I can still buy AMC. Most certainly can. Okay. That was weird. I just got like, my stream just got shorted, bro. What the fuck? Every fucking time, I swear. That's crazy. Again, we do see just a little bit of sideways pressure, and then towards the end of the day, we might get a continuation in the rally. The setup is there, guys. And again, it's probably going to keep following this sequence because we have been tracking the entire red portion identical. You know, chances are that it will continue to do so. Okay, just consider that after a rally, we are chilling right here at the 11:15 area. Okay. That's insane. Things just. Okay, potential upside here. And then. Okay. Alright, that's what we're going to do. So, I'm going to be working on the cycle tracker here for a little bit to potentially have it out by today. That is the goal. Again, there's a lot to put on there. I'm trying to make it neat and set up for you guys to be able to track. Okay, I know a lot of you have been messaging me about doing that, so I'm going to do it. We're going to take just a little bit of a break here. Just continue to track this arc pattern, guys, and expect a little bit of sideways pressure after this pullback down. We've seen this happen before with AMC. If things start to come up very quickly, you will see me back on the stream, but I do see us just trading sideways here, okay? I will be back towards the end of the day, so there will be a two-part stream. So right now, we'll take a little bit of a break, and then we'll come back towards the end of the day to see the current setup and talk about what we're looking for the next couple of days, all right? Go love your dog. That's what I'm going to do. And go walk your pets and love your boyfriend and your girlfriend, all right? Love you guys. See you soon.